Dear professor and scholars, and I am the one who will give I will give my presentation about disciplinary English new trend ELT. Here I will share my screen. You'll see my PowerPoint. Disciplinary English in new trend in ELT. Here is my personal information. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. In this presentation, I will talk about staff issues, research questions, background, relevant approaches in ELT, disciplinary English and its relations with other approaches, disciplinary English from systemic functional perspective, methods and significance. About research questions, there are 5 research questions. First, what is relations among disciplinary English, ESP, EMI, and CLIL within ELT? What is disciplinary English concerned with? What ground can be applied to disciplinary English in systemic functional linguistics? What methods can be selected? Is it significant to develop disciplinary English? All of these 5 questions are expected to address to tell you what is disciplinary is and how do why we put forward this new pedagogical approach. When we talk about pedagogy in English as medium, we can think of a lot of research approaches. For example, English language teaching, English as a foreign language, English for specific purposes, English as medium instruction, English and lingua franca, content and language integrated learning, and etc. These approaches have been widely accepted and recognized across the world and have been applied to different researches on English education. Many scholars have devoted themselves to the research on learning teaching in English and second and foreign language. Basically, there are 2 trends. One is along different disciplines. For example, medicine in English in Taiwan, history in English Spain, biology in English in Botswana, mathematics in English in Hong Kong, geography in English in Argentina. The another trend is that the researches have been done at different stages of education, primary school, secondary school, and university. Essentially, such kind of English education has been done in some different disciplines at the different stages of education. Some similar terms have been introduced. For example, disciplinary English, Jing and Peng, they give their definitions to disciplinary English. Later, we will discuss their definition and try to compare their definition to the definition in my article. And Ranra studies in subject English, Christie and Davidson, subject teaching in English, Data Enterprise. We have introduced several pedagogic approaches in ELT, right? And here in this section, we will make comparison among ESP, EMI, and CLIL in terms of origin as motivation, status of language, and research objective, so that later we will discuss their relations with disciplinary English. When we talk about their origin, the ESP started in 1960s, EMI 1990s, and CLIL after World War II. About their motivation, ESP responds to the different groups of learners' language needs. EMI made the demand of the European educational policy. CLIL satisfies demand of internationalization and political educational policy. As for the status of language, in ESP, English is the end. EMI, English is taken as medium, but in CLIL, language is taken as a process. Since ESP is a language-led approach, we know that language is the research objective. But in EMI, it is the academic subjects that matters. In CLIL, both content and language that are highlighted. Apart from differences, there are similarities among these three approaches. For example, language functions as a lingua franca and plays an important role in learning teaching. They are located in the scope of ELT. Disciplinary knowledge education falls in the research scope of these three approaches, since in reality, content and language are inextricably entwined. And these three approaches more or less got government support before or after their emergencies and push ELT towards new stages. However, none of them just only focus on the explorations on different disciplinary knowledge learning and teaching in English and the lingua franca in local context. That is why it is necessary to put forward disciplinary English within ELT. In order to illustrate the relationship between disciplinary English and other approaches, here we introduce Galloway and Rose approaches to language content teaching in 2021. They visually displayed the relations among ELT, CBLT, CLIL, EMI along the continuum with language content and endpoints. We have mentioned that some scholars have given their definitions to disciplinary English, for example, Jin and Peng. They interpret disciplinary English as the English variations of organizing experiential knowledge of different disciplines. From this description, we know that their disciplinary English is still language-led approach, right? Even though it underscores English expressions knowledge system in disciplinary education. So according to their interpretation, we put their disciplinary English within this model. Since their definition is language-led, so we put closer to the language but farther from content. It is located between the ESP and the CLIL because it still underscores some kind of disciplinary knowledge acquisition. In this article, I put forward my definition. That is an approach which focuses on disciplinary knowledge learning teaching in English and lingua franca in a local context. This disciplinary English is not language-led or English-led, but oriented to different disciplinary knowledge learning and teaching in English and lingua franca. In fact, it is designed to meet the national socioeconomic development. According to this definition, we know that there are three basic components in disciplinary English: specific disciplinary English learning and teaching, the relevant corresponding linguistic knowledge in English system, These two components function as both ends in the process. And the local content is foregrounded. We know that the textual reconstructs on the disciplinary English pedagogy in non-English speaking countries. Why a local context is foregrounded? It is because of the limited pedagogy range, which will be answered in the first of the following two questions. The limited pedagogical range. It is impossible for a learner to acquire all the protocol of both disciplinary knowledge and the English system within a limited period, for example, 4 years in tertiary education. Disciplinary English is oriented towards some specific disciplinary knowledge in English, which is spread in some regions or countries. That's why we highlighted the local context. The second question is about disciplinary variation. Take business English in tertiary education in China, for example. It is designed to teach the Chinese undergraduates business knowledge, English as world Englishes, and to cultivate qualified business persons for national socio-economic development. According to this description of this discipline, we know that business English at least satisfies two components: business knowledge acquisition and corresponding linguistic knowledge acquisition. As for the local context, it is not mentioned because it was designed to meet the internationalization, not regionalization. But you know that business English is a growing discipline. I think in the near future, the regionalization will be foregrounded, especially some the local or regional economic organization has built. I think such kind of development will push the business English towards a regionalized trend, a regionalized direction. In the past decades, discipline has undergone some diversification of sub-branches. For instance, economics in tertiary education, there are a lot of the branches: macroeconomics, microeconomics, behavioral economics, etc. We can say that the more diversified of disciplines, the more demand of disciplinary English research. Basically, that is disciplinary variation provide the ground for the research of disciplinary English. According to this definition, we have explained this definition and its component. Based on these explanations, we know that disciplinary English is not language-led. It's not English-led. So it's closer to content, but not too far from language. Here we put between CLIL and EMI, so that you know that DE is different from other approaches. That is why we need to put forward it as a new term. We talked about definition. We talked about its relation with other approaches. Then we will turn to another part that is theoretical grounds. Systemic functional grammar or systemic functional linguistics can provide the rich potential theoretical grounds for the research on disciplinary English. As we mentioned that disciplinary English has three components: linguistic knowledge acquisition, disciplinary knowledge acquisition, and the local context, and I will explain them one by one. As far as disciplinary knowledge is concerned, we can turn to the genre theories. You know that Martin DeRose in 2008 has introduced the six generic relations in primary and secondary schools. So their work may inspire us to do the relevant studies on disciplinary knowledge acquisition. As for the linguistic knowledge, we can rely on meta functions, for instance, nominalization, transitivity system, evaluation conjunction, power trial, which was developed by Martin 2013-2016. As for the local context, Heidegger had given us the support context of situation and context of culture. Martin has introduced the field entry to history and biological pedagogic discourse analysis in secondary school classroom in 2013. I think his work might provide some insights of how to do with the local context in the research on disciplinary English. Methods. Regarding an empirical orientation, most of these researches are data-driven. Here we listed we have listed the several methods which have been applied to the previous studies in disciplinary education in English. For example, quantitative, qualitative, corpus-based, qualitative and quantitative combination, a research-informed approach, case study, sample study, comparative studies. When listed the approaches does not mean you just only have the limited choice. It's not. We want to tell you that what have been done in the relevant disciplinary education in English, and you might choose one of them. It's up to your research questions and your research purpose. Since we talked about the disciplinary English, here I wanted to mention one thing about the impact of discipline on the choice of methods from Bittman, Wildfield, and Hepler in 2017. Although disciplinary habit does not determine the selection of the methods, it is asserted that research methods are related to the division of disciplines. Qualitative analysis is more broadly applied in humanities. Quantitative analysis in the natural and social science, although some disciplines such as linguistics sit uncomfortably between this division. So we know that when we choose a method, discipline impact our choice, but it does not determine that. Next, we will talk about its significance of the research on disciplinary English. First, on the one hand, it can improve the pedagogy. Disciplinary English marked a new pedagogic approach for the research on pedagogy, on the education and English education. It expands the research of scope of ELT by specializing its research object, rendering the insights on disciplinary education. As disciplinary English advances, both disciplinary and linguistic knowledge will systematically be recontextualized, reproduced, and specialized, but not general knowledge. It represents a new start of English application research and expands English studies and disciplinary knowledge construction. It is significant in practice because it can accelerate internationalization by means of exchanging the insights of knowledge, learning, teaching in English and the lingua franca. It stimulates disciplinary exchange and convergence across all social and disciplinary boundaries. It promotes occupational education in tertiary education. It provides solid evidence for national educational policy. It lessened the ownership of English, but strengthened its status of a global default linguistic franc. Thank you for watching my video.